Hey guys, my name is Robert Strada. Today I'm going to be showing you how do you speak more confidently, okay? My goal by the end of this video, I'm going to show you number one, why speaking a certain way is very important, how to differentiate confident language versus unconfident language, and then just to understand exactly by the end of the video what you need to do. And if you need any external resources that I'm unable to provide to you, I'm going to provide you the individuals to go to and the books. I'm going to start from basic and I'm going to go to advanced, so that's why you want to stick until the end. By the way, quick disclaimer, I apologize that the only time I have to film these is at night after work, so we're gonna have to make do. I tried my best to get you guys some pretty little candles, and we got some, look, I got battery operated lights, front and back, and we got Deadpool right up there. Woo! And I got my little colorful bat. So we're gonna go ahead and jump right into it. Number one, I would be remiss to talk about a video on confidence if I was not going to talk about mentality. There's many different aspects of the mentality, but I just want to list main three. Potentially I'm going to add a fourth one in here once I talk about this. My mentality, in order to speak more confidently, is I'm thinking, and I'm going to blur out the word, but I am the man. I am the man. All right? In order to be able to speak as confidently as possible and to implement these to the best of your effect, you're naturally, when you have that thought, I'm the man, okay? You will just start to just speak more confident. You'll naturally start to figure it out. Nothing that you learn will even matter. You'll all of a sudden start putting your chest out and your shoulders back and down. It's very intriguing how it happens naturally. A good book to understand the psychological phenomenon that happens here, not only is Joe Navarro, How to Read the Body, a great book, but honestly, Jordan Peterson wrote a great book, which talks about lobsters, okay, out of all things. It's kind of become a meme when Jordan Peterson talked about lobsters. When they get defeated, when a lobster is defeated by another lobster, the brain psychology changes and it affects the hormones inside of its body, okay? You naturally will start to find and exhibit tendencies of a confident speaker when you think, I am the man, okay? Now, number two, again, I gotta hit on it twice. It's, I don't give a what you think, is the second one, okay? Bear with me here. I understand I'm getting a little bit vulgar. I might come across as a little bit abrasive. That unfortunately is a bit of who I am, but you need to have this thought, and you're gonna temper it. I'm gonna tell you you're gonna temper it in a second. First, you understand that having that thought of having no F's to give is going to be the thing that allows you to test all of these things out. Because this currently is not who you are, quote unquote. But you need to cross the boundary. You need to push and you need to test out your pronunciation and speaking slow and pauses and being awkward. That way you have to not care what people think, so you can cross the line and it's a little bit weird, and when you see like, oh, that did work, now I know where the line is, I can go back and I can calibrate, okay? So in order to do that, you gotta not care, because you gotta fail. You have to fail forward. Another great book by John C. Maxwell is Fail Forward. And you gotta do it fast. The faster you can do it, the better. And then that's the less mental baggage you're carrying along the journey by not caring about other people's external opinions on your confidence growth journey, the faster and more productive your growth is gonna be. So my mentality, if I screw up, cool. If you're offended, like, cool, okay? I don't really know what to tell you. And if you're thinking, why would somebody be offended by me talking more confidently? Because they've known you your whole life. Because they've seen the way you talk before.
Correct.
If you walk all slouched and you don't really make good eye contact, and all of a sudden now you're making really good eye contact and your shoulders are backing down and you're talking a little bit more intense and a little bit more purpose, a little bit more life is inside of your body, okay? People are gonna notice, and it's gonna be like, what got into him? Is he being a little weird? And you gotta force your way through it. You gotta force through it by not, all right? Just for a beginning, but you're gonna temper it. You're gonna temper it with positivity, okay? You don't wanna be a thug. At the beginning, at least in my childhood, I made the big mistake, which you should make, which I'm very happy that I made, which everybody makes, which is I'm just gonna walk around like a thug, okay? I don't give a what you think. okay? Hey, you know what, man? Like, I just walk around like a big G, swag, you know? Like, that's not the way to go about life. You don't want to do that. You're going to turn off a lot of people. You're going to hurt a lot of people. But I want you to think about an idol, okay? I'm going to give you a very non-controversial example so you can think about this individual. How about The Rock Johnson, okay? An individual who thinks he is the man, okay? He doesn't care what other people's opinion is of him, but at the same time, he tempers it. Dude, he's positive. What's going on, man? What can I say except you're welcome? Like, you know, yeah. I don't know. You have to understand that there are people out there that are able to contribute all three, and you need to visualize your idols, and then you can just emulate them. All right. So, number 2, we're gonna get right into it. You need to pronunciate. Think about Jocko Willink. He's a really great example. Jocko Willink, when you hear him talk, how is he doing? His mouth is very wide, and he's pronunciating. Discipline equals freedom. So in order to do that, you might actually have to make your mouth look a little bit bigger, like this, in order to stop your mumbling. Because on the other end of that, it might sound like, you know, you're kind of like rambling off the end of your words. And it sounds like you're not talking very confident. And it sounds like you're not really ending your words like too confidently because you're not really pronouncing. You're kind of mumbling a little bit, you know what I'm saying? That's why you need to kind of do the opposite, which is pronunciate. In order to do it, my mouth is getting bigger. I'm slowing down a tiny bit, and on top of that, I'm making sure my words are heard. Okay, so I like to pronunciate my words as a warm-up before I have to speak confidently in a high-stakes situation such as sales, a date, or I gotta talk to somebody that I just gotta do something I actually give a about. All right, I'm going to practice doing some mouth exercises, which honestly, mouth exercises is not on here. Look up mouth exercises when you're done. You know, like that kind of stuff, because you need to warm up your vocal cords. Okay, now we're not gonna spend. We're just gonna keep going. Number 3, speak slower. When I talk, you need to talk and learn to talk way slower than you normally do. I need to get these videos out quick, but depending on the situation, I actually talk this. And I'm also doing downward tonalities, which we'll talk about. You need to talk, especially in certain situations. You understand, you should sound so slow that you think that you sound like Again, I'm going to blur out the word that I just said, but you know the word I just said. I understand it's vulgar, but that's what you should be thinking. Sound dumb. This has to look silly, okay? And that's why you got to be prepared with these attitudes for the people that hear the way you speak are like, they're poking fun at you, like, he's talking different, what's going on? Okay, so now you are going to speak louder, okay? There's a book, Vanessa Edwards talks about in the book Captivate, which is a very amazing book about all of this, and she is extremely more intelligent than me, by the way. I'm gonna give credit where credit is due. By the way, giving credit where credit is due everywhere, just so we're clear, I am the effing man. I got that from Andrew Tate. I'm just gonna tell you that right off the bat. He's the one that says that, okay? I have no problem pointing out controversial characters that give really good advice. Andrew Tate changed my life. Okay? Yeah. So, speak louder. We're talking about her for a second. Vanessa Edwards, the book Captivate. She says that this is going to be the hardest one to do, is actually speaking louder, but it is actually going to be the most effective and the most important one. Because if you are able to speak louder, you're going to think that you're yelling at people, and it's going to feel like it. But in reality, you're not. And if you are talking louder, people are going to think naturally, this person is more confident. They're going to subconsciously think that they have been awarded in their life for being loud, and they've gotten away with it. So they're naturally going to think you are more confident. It's a natural thing. And let me tell you something. Story time. I remember when I was doing door-to-door sales, this was the hardest one I had to do. I was very quiet, and I was very kind. And I would come in, I would be a total sweetheart. Instead, when I got blown out by everybody because I'm knocking doors for solar and roofing, all right? What I did instead is now I would jump, and I would be very loud at the forefront, and I'd be very intense, and my hands and my face would look like this, and I'd be smiling, and their thought would be, this dude must have something important to talk about because of how loud he is. So I'm telling you, do not brush past number 4, speak louder. You have to work. I had to practice that and implement that daily, and it was the most uncomfortable one. But now, because I got so flipping uncomfortable, you have no idea how uncomfortable that was. To do that every door. I was yelling at people basically. At every door I knocked on in Florida, a saturated market, okay?
What?
Now I could do it with no problem because I went through the fire, okay? Number 5, pauses. Now I know that my AI is gonna naturally cut out my pauses. I'm talking to you, AI, but if I could, I would do a pause for dramatic effect. It's okay to talk. It's okay. 1, you can pause for multiple seconds. 1, 4, 5. Talk again. Imagine that. Imagine saying something and pausing for like 4 to 5 seconds. I think 3 to 4 is like the magic sweet spot. 3 seconds. I just really want you to think 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi. That's what I did, and it works. 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi. The most important thing about this, by the way, look, it's on the back, by the way, but you need to study communication, and the most important thing is implementation. You have to implement this stuff. The only reason I got good at this was because I immediately implemented it. And I found, as soon as I learned about anything, I would immediately be like, okay, what are 3 situations that I can imagine that I can implement this in immediately? And then I would go and I would implement it as fast as humanly possible. And it stuck in my brain, and I would just do it. Once I found implementation and action, that was like the coolest realization in the world. I was like, dude, I found the cheat code for life. By the way, if you stick to the end, I have a second cheat code, and it's not as stereotypical as take more action to implement. I have something that you have never heard of, which you're gonna hear about in about 2 minutes. I promise you, you've never heard of it. If you do, you're a big G.
Yep.
All right, so we're gonna keep going. Downward inflection. Downward inflections. By the way, just so we're 100% clear, I'm gonna pretend like nobody knows anything about anything. I'm gonna explain it to you like you're 5, and it's okay. I love you guys. I love you so much. I respect you. All right. Downward inflection.
Okay.
I'm talking the downward inflection. I'm ending my sentence in the downward versus an upward tonality. This is kind of a question. I'm going up. You know what I mean? You know what I mean, guys? Like, you know, honestly, like I think that like we should all like go to the mall and we should all just off. Okay? How do I sound if I was talking like this? Would you respect me? Okay? What do you think? It'd be weird. Okay? Honestly, there's many times when you're asking questions, when you ask a question, you naturally do an upward tonality. You can actually take most situations, and I learned this in life, and this is the coolest thing ever, that you think you need an upward tonality, and you could actually put a downward tonality. I would challenge you to put downward inflection on more things than you really think that you need to. Those last 3 things I just said, those were supposed to be upward tonalities, upward inflections, but I'm doing downwards. I would give you a challenge to just do downward inflect with every single, and then combine that with one of the other things, because it actually sounds pretty gosh darn. Now, number 7 is you're gonna practice beforehand. Practice, 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 baby. You gotta throw in, I can't talk about a video about getting better without throwing in practice, repetition, action. It's got to be said, okay? So beforehand, there's multiple ways to do it. We're going to talk about it later as well. But before any situation, I kind of like to role play it. If I'm going to go on a date, okay, I want to role play like I'm not going to sound like this. I'm not going to talk this fast. And with all these downward inflections, I'm going to be loose. I'm going to practice being loose, but I still want to speak confident. If I'm going to have a high stakes negotiation, I want to practice how to speak confident. I don't want to mess that up. I don't want to mess something like that up. Okay? How am I going to do that? Well, I'm going to talk to myself, probably. And I'm going to record myself, and I'm going to watch the recording, or maybe I'll just practice in the mirror, okay? Just see how my face looks. But that's how I do it. Oh, man, my holy crap, man, that thing is tight. All right, number 8 is you're going to do hard all right? this is super important, and something I noticed, and was very intriguing, by the way. I kept noticing this at Cardone Ventures. So Grant Cardone has multiple companies, okay? He has Cardone Training Technologies. He has Cardone Enterprises, which is like the same thing. Cardone Ventures, which it was a company that I was in. And I noticed that the top closers were always either elite and ultra marathon runners, or they were elite fighters, like MMA fighters. And I kept seeing this as I was, because I worked for Grant Cardone. I don't know if I told you guys that, you know, but you would know that if you watched my other videos. But anyway, so I noticed when I went to other events and I saw the top closers, the people that made the most money did the hardest things that had nothing to do with them making money. Andy Elliott, top closer, okay? That dude, like, Andy Elliott's in the gym all the time, but his guys, they're all like MMA fighters, bodybuilders, and the harder stuff that they do, it directly equated to the more money that, it was so baffling. It was so baffling. I swear to God. And I kept looking, I kept watching. I was like, what do you do? What do you do? Let me grab an analysis. Let me see what you do. Dude, if you're running marathons and doing extremely hard stuff, you're gonna make more money and you're gonna sound more confident. Okay, why am I even talking about money? Because people spend money with people that are confident in what they're talking about. They speak confidently, and that's all that sales is. You could sell dog shit, okay, but as long as you sound confident, for some reason it's not ethical, people are gonna buy, and they do it all the time, every single day. It's why sales has a bad name. Okay, exactly why. And also, you need more reference experiences of things that are hard. Okay, that's basically the main reason. You need reference. You know, you think that this is hard talking to this guy? Well, guess what? I freaking, you know, was in a cage fight. It's like, you know what? Hey, I think that's way harder than talking to someone and projecting my confidence in my loud voice. I think that's harder than pausing for 3 seconds. I think being in a cage fight is harder than dealing with the awkwardness of a 3-second pause and looking at someone in their eyes. Okay? So, number 9, don't get overwhelmed, dude. Bro, don't get overwhelmed. Breathe, okay? Box breathing. 4 by 4 by 4 by 4. In for 4, hold for 4, out for 4, hold for 4. That is box breathing, all right? It's okay. Now, there is going to be some sprints. There's going to be some sprint overall and intervals, but for the most part, it's a marathon. But we got it, you know? There's going to be some sprinting the straights and running the corners, but for the most part, it's going to be a marathon, all right? And the more you know about communication, you're going to realize that as you go down this journey of learning about communication, speaking confidently, the more you know, the more that you realize that you don't know. And it can get pretty overwhelming. And if you look at all this and you're like, dude, I got to implement all that. I got to get good at all that stuff. What? First of all, check yourself, change your verbiage. I live in the age of information. I get to understand what the pros and the greats do. By the way, I'm not calling myself a pro or a great. I'm just saying that I've learned this from those that are pros and want to be fully transparent with that. Okay? So, understand that the masters still mess up. Dude, I would literally watch like the greats of the greats. Everybody gets rusty. And even if they're not rusty, you could always take a master. I'm not talking about expert. I'm talking about a master. Someone that has been doing a craft for 20, 30, 40, 50 years. All right? And they'll still do something, and you can watch it back if you recorded them doing whatever it was, and you'll be able to point out the errors, and they will too. All right? They still mess up. Number 10, fundamentals. You need to know the fundamentals of speaking confidently. I'm going over some advanced stuff, but I'm also going over some fundamentals. Bruce Lee has a quote: I do not fear the man that has practiced 10,000 kicks, but I fear the man that has practiced one kick 10,000 times. That man is more dangerous. That man, okay, you have to realize, why are you doing this? Are you learning? You're not trying to learn the reverse freaking clucks. What the heck is it called? Like the super spinning dragon backflip. Like, you know, you don't need to care about that. You know how to kick someone's ass That's why you're in martial arts. Not to look, are you here to look cool, or are you here to get results? Okay? Are you here to get the results of speaking confidently and getting what you want in life, or are you here to look cool and learn like something really badass, you know? Drop your vanity, drop your need for novelty, and just do boring stuff and get really, really good at fundamentals. There is a point, by the way, and you need a coach for this to understand when it's time to move past the fundamentals and get into some different stuff. Now you need to focus on this, and they will be able to tell you, versus you taking too long to know for yourself because you have nothing to really base it off of. But yeah, you need to start with the fundamentals. Number 11. This is very important, by the way. Obsession and 100% immersion. Okay, I want you to think about a serial murderer analogy. Okay, imagine you're trying to solve a serial murder, like one of these movies. What are the guys doing? They're going to the crime scene. They're looking at the evidence. They're scratching their head. There's no evidence. Nothing lines up. It's all over the place. There's clues over here. We don't get it. He's going through the files. He's revisiting the files. And then he waits and he scratches his head for another month. He visits the files again. He goes and he finds a cold lead. He's searching, all right? And he interviews somebody, and then that person knows somebody, and they talk. And then they're just sitting there, and they're thinking, this is the moment. This is what we call the snap moment. He's sitting there, he's thinking, he's sitting there, he's thinking, he's sitting there, he's thinking. With all this information, he's just swimming in it. Nothing else is entering his life. He's just swimming in it, obsessed in it. And all of a sudden, boom, oh my God, it's him, that guy. He's the serial murderer. Let's go with that house, okay? But it's because of the immersion and the obsession. That was how Einstein found the theory of relativity. It's because he was just sitting with it for a long period of time, okay? He actually had a really unique method, which I read in a book, where we talk about alpha waves and delta waves, and he would hold an apple. Again, we're getting off topic here, but I'm just telling you about, you know, how immersed he was. He would hold an apple in a rocking chair, and whenever he fell asleep, the apple would drop and he'd wake up so that he could sit there and just think and immerse himself in thought, okay? But that means that, you know, you have to just, all the information has to be based on whatever you're trying to get good at. Does that mean like you can't watch Netflix at night? Yes, it means you can't watch Netflix at night. You can't just like look and consume random content. All right, I'm not telling you to not live a life. That's your choice. You can. You're more than welcome to. It's just you will not be the best of the best if you do decide to do that. So it is up to you. All right, and that's the decision that you're making, which is number 12. You're becoming a student of communication in general. If you want to speak confidently, you just got to be a student of communication in general. All right, number 13. This is going to go back to number 11 with the Netflix, okay? Your mornings and your nights are the most important time to learn. The first thing that goes in your head, okay? What I would make it, by the way, active recall, we're going to talk about that in 2 seconds, but your mornings and your nights, all right? The last thing that you learn before you go to bed, that's what you're thinking about. That's why people tell you to write down your goals before you go to bed, because naturally you'll start to solve things in your head as you are sleeping. What does this have to do with the video on how to do confidence? I'm teaching you how to learn it because I am passionate about communication in general. And this is how I got really, really good at it. Amazing. If you don't think that I'm really good at communication, by the way, first of all, not to brag, I think I'm really good at communication compared to other people. But you have to realize that I used to be the most awkward, terrible communicator ever. No body language, no head movements, bug eyes. I couldn't make eye contact. I was the kid that sat underneath the stairs. I was like I was a 300-pound fat kid that in high school, if anybody even looks at me now, they'd be like, dude, this is really, really one of the most 180 situations I've ever seen in my entire life. Anybody that knew me before the age of like 18 years old would say exactly that. Probably 17. You need to work on like your mornings and your nights, the most important thing. I review the material in the morning and review it at night. Okay, active recall. I'm about to change your life. This is the life-changing one. All right, active recall, number 14. All right, if you want to learn something, all right, I am going to talk about this for a second. There's so many books on it. The fact that people learn the way, this is the part that pisses me off about most of humanity, is that they don't understand. This is the reason why I learn things that take people years years of learning. I learn it better than them in like a week. I learn things that take people years to learn in like a week. If you think I'm being a little bit melodramatic there, really, you think you're gonna learn something that takes other people multiple years in a week? Yes, 100%, not 99%. Because what this is, okay, I'm explaining what knowledge is and what learning is. A little bit of story time. Is you basically have a bucket and you're gonna learn a lot. Okay, you take the bucket and you swallow it. Okay, now learning is you want to retain just a little bit, maybe like 25%. You remember some here and some there and some of the fundamentals, but you take all this information, you forget most of it, but you keep most of the essentials. Okay, with active recall, you can remember about 90% of it forever. Did you say forever? Yeah, just about forever, for multiple years at least. I want you to imagine like everything you ever wanted to learn just being at your fingertips. Like you just remember it, like as if you're looking on your phone. Okay, that's what active recall allows you to do. What it is if you let's say write down notes, if you look at your notes again, you think that you're getting better, and your mind tricks you into thinking you're getting better, but you're actually getting worse. You're just getting more familiar with the content. You're not knowing the content better at the top of your head. You're just getting more familiar with your notes. Active recall is I'm sitting down with a blank piece of paper and a pen, and I'm quizzing myself, okay? I'm quizzing myself. I'm trying to remember everything I can. If I can't remember anything, you know what I'm going to do? I'm gonna sit there and I'm still gonna write it down. This is a practice that I have every morning with everything I learn, with all the books I read, with everything, all right? And it's hard, so that's why it's so important, all right? And the harder it is to recall something, the deeper it's gonna stay inside of your memory, because you had to work so hard in order to get it. So, and there's studies that just show this is just such a superior learning technique. I feel like I'm taking like the movie Limitless. I feel like I'm on like some super drug when I do active recall. With Bradley Cooper, I think was the movie. All right, so I'll learn something, maybe I'll wait an hour. I'll learn something in the morning. I spend my mornings learning and reading a book. At nighttime, I'll spend it doing active recall. Depending if I have time, I'll actually do the active recall 30 minutes after I learn the thing, depending on the day, if it's like a weekend or something. And then the next day, I'm gonna active recall again. Now it's in my long-term memory storage, and I'm not gonna forget it. You wanna learn some word tracks and sales? That's what you do. People are like, people give bad information. They give really bad and stupid information. I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. They say, you just gotta take notes. And there's really famous people. Andy Elliott, not to call him out. I wrote multiple spiral notebooks on notes on how to do this. And that's how I learned all my word tracks. It's like, yeah, dude, you're just beating your brain down and just beating it. You're not doing it the right way, okay? It's great that it works for you, but it's not the way that's supposed to work. Okay, so active recall is really great. Number 15, role play. You need to role play people with people to confident situations. And a big thing about role play is that if you're role playing with your buddy, you kind of want to be funny, and your buddy is going to want to be funny. You're going to learn this when you do role play. You know, you're role playing a confident situation. They're going to make some jokes like, yeah, I just think, I can't really think of an example, but just. They're going to be funny, and they're going to like pretend like you need to pretend when you're role play, bro, that's your life on the line. The emotions in the role play need to be real. The downward deflections need to be real, because you're going to role play and then you're going to try to joke around and you're going to seem like a big G, and you're going to find when you do the actual role play and you take it seriously, you're going to stutter and you're going to up a lot. Okay? And that's when you're like, oh, snap, and he can point it out and you can point it out and you can fix it. Role play. Number 16, you're gonna record it and you're gonna review it. Yeah. You're gonna look in a mirror and you're gonna look at yourself and record yourself. Oh, dude, really? Yeah, really. Like, yes, 100%. Me recording myself led to, and me, I'm gonna watch this video as well that I'm recording right now, led to some of the biggest revelations. Dude, I look like that. No wonder I'm getting XYZ reaction. Okay? Dude, I sound like that. No wonder I'm not getting the result I want. So, yes, it is not optional. record, and then review. You don't gotta do it every day. You don't gotta do it a whole lot. But if you do it 1 or 2 times, let me tell you something. The returns you're gonna get are gonna be galvanized. It's gonna be insane. All right. Number 17, practice beforehand. I'm pretty sure we already covered that. Number 18, talk to yourself. I don't hear a lot of people talk. They say we're, role play and record and review. I'm saying legit just talk to yourself. The majority of why I get so good is when I'm alone, dude, I talk to myself quite a lot. It's the only person that listens, but not really. But I go to my car and I'm driving around and I'll just be talking to myself. I love communication so much. I'll picture conversations in my head and I'll just like imagine how I'm going to handle them. I don't know. I'll imagine I'm on an interview and how I'm going to handle that interview. It's fun for me. And I'll just start talking. And then I'll start practicing. This is how you can implement it immediately. This is how I can start immediately implementing my downward tonality. And I can implement my pauses, and I can implement my slowing down. And I can implement looking in the mirror, my eye contact. It's because I need to talk to myself. Okay? You have to. If you don't, you're not warming up. It's the most important thing, to be fully transparent. All right? Number 19, you're going to study examples. You're going to study examples. Not any examples, preferably the best examples. The wheel has already been invented. The wheel exists. It's round. It has a metal rim. It's made of rubber. It's got treads. It's already been done. You don't got to do it. I actually was able to do it with no help from anybody because I'm a total idiot. And I like to just smack my head against the wall. That's how I learn. And that's how my dad taught me to learn. Because my dad's a idiot as well. So that's good for you. Okay? But the big boys, the people that actually are, the most successful, which is not you, is they actually have coaches. And they actually study examples of people before them. Because you only get to live a certain quantity of years on this earth. So, luckily for us, there's people that have lived and died and bit the dust before us that figured this shit out, so we could just go ahead and study them so we don't gotta learn ourselves. Now, don't get me wrong, we still gotta take the action, okay? We still gotta put in the reps, but I need a feedback loop of a living person, a coach, which we'll go over in a second, but you also need to look at examples of people that are doing it right. Now, here's an important thing, though, about studying examples, okay? There is a point where you need to get outside your comfort zone, but a really good book, Josh Waitzkin, The Art of Learning, really discusses this very well, okay? Number 20, study someone whose style of communication is very similar. Josh Waitzkin talks about that. I almost burnt out because from communication, which I really like and I really love to study, because people try to force a method of communication on me, which wasn't me. People's method of selling and talking and negotiating, it's different. It's an art form. Josh Waitzkin, you need to read his book, The Art of Learning. I've read that book maybe 3 times. It's one of my favorite books in the world, okay? And there's an example of there. He's a chess grandmaster. All right, on top of being a chess grandmaster as a child, he then became a master in martial arts. He learned. It proves that mental techniques in the educational realm could be transferred into the physical realm, which makes Josh Waitzkin a master and a master teacher of mental technique. And he talks about when he was learning chess, he learned from 2 people. One of them found joy in just beating their students down and make them learn rote and breaking. It was like breaking a horse in the wrong way. All right. And the other one wanted you to express yourself and allowed you to train you in the mold of the person that you are. You need to speak in the style of communication. This is one of those ones that's like it's like finding yourself. This is like, I'm not gonna be able to explain this in the video. It's like finding yourself. But you need to have a coach that understands that you are your own unique human being and that you express yourself in your own unique way. There's 2 ways to break a horse. Okay, I could break a horse in 2 different ways. I could grab the horse by its throat and I could drag it to the water and I could make it drink and I could shove its face in. All right. Now, when I do that, I'm going to break its spirit. I'm going to break its natural will and its love for the world. I don't want to do that. Okay. Now there's an option 2. I could pet it, and I could love it, and I could talk to it, and I could lead it slowly. And if it's jerking me away, whoa, it's slowing down. It's okay, it's okay, it's okay, it's all right, it's all right, it's all right. Come on, you're good, it's okay. All right, I love you. Come here, and I let it drink. And then when that happens, when I ride that horse, it's gonna have the same love and the natural spirit. I'm getting a little hippy dippy on you, but trust me, like this energy that I'm giving you, all this stuff, it's all correlated with me learning my style of communication, and I'm flowing with who I am because I know who I am. All right. Remember, 21. You need a coach. All right, you need a coach, because I'll tell you what really messed me up was some idiots. You have idiots that say, you just need to take more action. And if you watch enough Alex Hormozi or any of these people, you just need to take more action and more action. And when you're done taking more action, you know what you're going to do is you're going to take a big bowl of soup of more action, and you're going to take more action. And then you know what you're going to get? You're going to get the same result you've always gotten, because you don't have a feedback loop and you have a coach. Does anybody know that Alex Hormozi has so many goddamn coaches? It's insane. Do you know how many coaches a man like that has? So many. It's unfathomable. Because what he has this feedback loop, okay? That is what videos are good for on top of a coach. If I'm watching videos on good communication, I'm gonna do the communication, I'm gonna implement, I'm going to mess up, and I'm going to use the videos to self-correct. Oh, that's what I could have done differently. Oh, okay? So, if you don't have a coach, you are just wasting your time on this earth, when in reality, you could pay, I currently, maybe it'll change. I don't have a current coaching program right now. Check the link in the description. Maybe I do all of a sudden, okay? But you need to have somebody that you trust, that you like, and that has a similar style of communication to you, and that has your best interest at heart, and they can help you out. Pay somebody $500, let's say, or $1,000. You should know that you're gonna get to $100,000 very quickly. That's the reason why you're investing. You're not spending, you're investing. That's the word. Spending is spending like on McDonald's. I could spend $1,000 on a car. You know, that's not investing. I spend $1,000 blow. You blow $1,000. It's more like what that is. Get a coach. Everybody should be getting coaches, okay? But you need to know how to get the right coach. Don't just get any coach. I've bought many $10,000 programs. I want you to think about what I just said. Multitudes of $10,000 programs I have bought, and a lot of them have been useless. I've milked them, and I got everything I could out. I made sure that they worked, okay, for me. But God, those coaches were horrible. You need to know how to look for them. But don't be afraid to give it a shot, okay? So, look, it's nighttime. Can you see my breath? It's nice and cold out. It's in early January. Currently, it's nighttime. If you found value from this video, please, it's going to be nothing unless if you look at this playlist and click my whole series right here. YouTube is going to recommend the best video for you guys here as well. Please leave a comment. Let's debate. Let me know something you need help on. I want to help you guys out. And again, I am nothing without my mentors and the people that have gotten me here. Without my coaches. Leave a like and a comment for them as well. Thank you guys. I love you. Amen.